Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Baby Ballers. I apologize for the bit of a hiatus in producing videos. It's been a busy couple of weeks of life, but there was a very big news coming out of Qatar today that I felt like I had to make a video for. So welcome back to Baby Ballers, and today's topic is going to be the disastrous result in Qatar today, which means that you will not be seeing Korea play soccer at the Olympics in Paris in 2024. So, to start off this video, for our viewers who may not be very familiar with the concept of Olympic qualification, let's briefly explain how does Korea or other Asian nations qualify for the Olympics. So, it's basically through a mini Asian Cup or tournament style of football that involves players only under the age of 23. There's no overage wildcard players, and often for these qualification tournaments, the big names that are playing in Europe, like Igangin, like Pejunol, like Yang Yeonjun, these really established big names, they often won't be playing in this tournament because their teams don't allow them to leave in the middle of the season. And since this really isn't a FIFA designated tournament, the national team can't veto that from the clubs. So these players stayed home for this very important tournament. And as this tournament goes along, the group stages, the knockout stages, from this big tournament, only the top three teams qualify for the Olympics. So whoever makes the finals, both of those teams qualify, and whoever wins the consolation final or whoever comes in third place also wins qualification to the Olympics. And before today, guys, I don't know if you guys knew this, but this is a fun fact for you. Korea holds or held the record for the most consecutive Olympic appearances with, I think, 10 in a row or maybe 9 in a row. And this was going to be the 10th. But it's just something that we took for a given. And finally, the consecutive qualifications, the run of that has come to a stop. Moving on to this tournament that happened this month, let's quickly recap what happened before today's match. Korea were placed in a difficult group with Japan, China, and UAE. And before the tournament started, the critics and the YouTubers, they were calling this group the group of death because it was, really four good teams, and we didn't know that who was going to progress to the knockout stages. Surprisingly, Korea were able to beat all three teams in the group stages, and I believe that we didn't even concede a single goal. We finished first in the group, and we were scheduled to play Indonesia in the quarterfinals, who finished second in their group. But if you actually watched the three group stage matches against Japan and China and UAE, you knew that Korea won all three games despite playing some really terrible football. The team was defensively unstable. We were really, really lucky not to concede more goals. We were also incohesive in attack, relying on individual brilliance from our forward players. There wasn't really any linking between the midfield and the forwards, no combination plays, nothing good like that. And really, if you guys want to know, today's result was a regression to the mean and not a surprising off performance. In fact, this was a long time coming if you watched our team play in Qatar. Now, I don't really want to spend a lot of time analyzing this game in detail in particular, because really the football on display embarrassingly lacked quality. It was really disastrous. There was a red card in there by one of our players for a really dirty tackle. The manager got sent off for a red card. It was just a terrible night all around. But rather than looking at the game today specifically, let's focus on the implications of tonight's loss and what it might mean for Korean football. So, firstly, the negatives of today's loss. Obviously, Korea will miss out on its first Olympics after 40 straight years of qualification. Unlike other nations, we're a nation that takes this competition really seriously because of the chance that it gives our young players to win military exemption and continue their promising careers. So in Korea, unlike the Asian Games where you have to win gold to win military exemption, for the Olympics, winning any medal, gold, silver, bronze, is totally fine. You're still able to win military exemption. Now, with that in mind, what if I told you that I was actually actively cheering against our boys today? That I wanted Indonesia to win so we could miss out on the Olympics? You'd probably call me crazy, right? Well, let me try and explain where I'm coming from. So, if we won this game and we won qualification, there's a very, very good chance that Hwang Son-hong, the current manager of the U23 team, would actually become the manager of the senior team, where we don't have a manager right now after Jurgen Klinsmann got fired. The KFA are currently rumored to be favoring a domestic manager so that they can save funds after spending an enormous amount of money buying out the contracts of Jurgen Klinsmann and his staff. To them, a Korean manager would cost less and be easier to control to do whatever they would like. The problem is, Hwang Sonong is a really terrible manager. He plays bangchukgu, which if you're not familiar with the term, just means an extremely direct style of football. You're playing long balls to the forwards and you're completely bypassing the midfield, and it is really boring and frustrating to watch. And that style of football might have worked when he was a player in the 1990s and the 2000s, but it ain't working in today's modern game. Imagine this guy leading the team for Sonny's last World Cup, and this guy ruining the best group of players we've had in a long, long time. Yeah, that's going to be a big no from me. Also, we can't ignore the immense pressure this loss is going to put on KFA President Chung Mong-gyu. Even after the calamity that was Jurgen Klinsmann's tenure in Korea, Chung Mong-gyu again, unilaterally by himself, made the decision to put Hwang Sonong as the interim manager while he was preparing for this important tournament. He could have literally gone with any name. Park Hang-seo was wanting to take the job. Any Korean name that did not have a job, he could have chosen, and it would have been fine for those two matches against Thailand. But he diverted Hwang Sonong's attention from the Olympic team, and we're here today without Olympic qualification. Just in the past year, let's look at all the terrible decisions that Chung Mong-gyu has made. Number one, hiring Jurgen Klinsmann and absolutely bottling the Asian Cup that we haven't won in 64 years. Number two, throwing Lee Gang-in and Son Heung-min under the bus for ping pong gate to cover up for that terrible showing at the Asian Cup. Number three, leaving the Korean national team without a home base. We used to train in Paju at our national training center. Yeah, that lease is up now, and we don't have a new home. The team had to train in a hotel in Seoul, basically doing only fitness work in preparation for a huge international tournament because of Chung Mong-gyu's incompetence. And four, this what happened today: hiring Hwang Sonong as the interim manager and preventing him from focus on Olympic qualification, diverting him from the senior team, the U23, going flip-flopping back and forth. And ultimately, we paid the price. And honestly, guys, this might be the final straw for Chung Mong-gyu. Check out Steve Hahn's quote. He spoke with an Indonesian journalist before this match. The consequences that the KFA could suffer if Shin Tae-yong and Indonesia end Korea's hopes of reaching their 10th straight Olympics. Chung Mong-gyu has survived many failures, but a failure to qualify for the Olympics may just be the final straw. I hope you guys understand or start to understand why I was cheering against our boys today, even though it broke my heart to do so. To me, missing out on the Olympics, a competition we've only won military exemption once, that was back in 2012, was worth it if it meant systemic change to Korean football. Now, is this systemic change guaranteed? Hardly, and I'll be the first to admit that. But we have to try. We can't just give up and accept short-term wins. That's what brought us to 64 years of not winning the Asian Cup, even though we're one of the best teams in Asia. We have to start somewhere, and I want that to be now. before a massive World Cup in 2026. Again, Sonny's last World Cup and a World Cup where we might have a golden generation of players. And finally, guys, before I end off this video, just a quick shout out to the Indonesian team, but more importantly, their manager, tae-yong. This was his redemption story, his revenge against the KFA. I don't know if you guys remember, but the KFA did tae-yong dirty. He was asked to come in as the interim manager in 2018 for the World Cup after, again, the KFA hired an utterly incompetent manager in Uli Stilike. But yeah, he had less than 1 year to prepare for that huge tournament. He actually, honestly didn't even do that bad. A disappointing loss to Sweden and again another loss to Mexico. But he produced that miraculous, magical moment against Germany where we were able to beat Germany 2-0 in Russia. And that inspired, that sparked our run, our 4-year run that led to the round of 16 appearance in Qatar in the 2022 World Cup. But the KFA did tae-yong dirty because when tae-yong returned to Korea after that World Cup, they didn't tell him what they were going to do with him. That really left him in a state of limbo, and he wasn't able to really consider other national team jobs, other club team jobs, because he didn't know what was going to happen with Korea before they finally hired Paulo Bento. And it led to a pretty long hiatus for tae-yong until he finally accepted to become the manager of the Indonesian national team, and here we are today. So just huge respects to tae-yong. He's a really great Korean manager, one that we threw to the wolves, unsurprisingly. And I do hope he one day returns to Korea and fulfill his dream of managing the national team again. Anyways, guys, that brings us to an end to this video. Thank you for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe to Baby Ballers, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.